two of the key models of Happy's single head lineup. First, you have here on my left the famous Happy Voyager, which is a 12-needle machine, and it has been in production continuously since 2003, and of course gone through many upgrades and improvements. And it brings a lot of capability for new embroiderers as well as existing ones. One of them being a 12 by 12 sewing field and 1,000 stitch per minute max sewing field. That allows for full jacket backs, fronts. This is a continuous sewing area, which means that it can be done all in one sitting. There are a lot of competing machines in its market segment that allow for a wide area like this, but only have maybe a 7.5-inch tall sewing area. So you actually have to split a full front, for example, into two different design files and have to hoop it twice. So this machine, with its 40 million stitch capacity, can do very large items. 99% of that all embroidery jobs, large embroidery projects with a sewing field. And this hoop also comes standard with the 12-needle Voyager machine. Another aspect of the Voyager machine that brings to the table is its multi-needle capability with 12 colors that the machine can automatically switch between as it does continuous sew out of complicated jobs or even simple jobs. And again, it's 1,000 stitch per minute high speed. The machine does this at true quote-unquote commercial sewing speeds, remaining at high speed, where other compact machines around this dimension, where we're looking at about under 100 pounds, and we're looking at a base size of about 11-inch wide by 17 inches deep. Even at that size, it's able to maintain a higher speed than a lot of the compact machines. It's also very home-friendly as well, a lot quieter than our larger commercial machines. So the Voyager has been a very successful machine for us for the Happy Embroidery Machine product line. So it's popular in that sense. It's got a friendly price point. It's far under the typical $12,000 to $15,000 price range at full-size commercial machines, but delivers very similar capability. Also with it, it can also sew out on finished ball caps, and it does an excellent job at these. And with an 11.5-inch sewing field, it provides continuous sewing for the front and the sides of the hat as well, all in a single sewing in case, for example, you have a logo on the front, maybe a signature or text on the side, which can be typical. This machine does that very well. Okay, so that's the Voyager machine. Now let's put in perspective also the larger commercial 15-needle, what's called the HCD2. So without a name, it actually has letters and numbers for its name. HCD2 is a full-size commercial sewing machine, embroidery machine with a much larger sewing field than the Voyager at 16.5 by 17.25, and this very large shape also comes with the machine. It also can sew every hoop that the Voyager machine can sew, and its max sewing field is also accompanied by a greater max speed at 1,200 stitches per minute. And the machine will stay up at this speed also. So running these two machines side by side, you'll typically see the HCD machine finish a few minutes faster on a given design, of course, depending on the different variables. But generally, this machine is much faster because of its larger motors and drive system, even being rated at a true 24-hour machine able to run 3 shifts nonstop, which really gives you a lot of capability in a single head machine. Just like the Voyager machine, it also has a 40 million stitch memory, which is going to be very rarely filled up. Both machines have a color touchscreen here that's very easy to use that incorporates this 40 million stitch memory with this great sewing capability. And also to mention, between all of the Happy line, it also enables the machines to network together. That's all built into the control panel. And also do a lot of management functions, such as viewing your production and actually doing a lot of controls that, again, give you a lot of control over the quality of your sew out and also give you a lot of information on what the machine's doing at any given time. So these machines have been very popular because both are equipped with the touchscreen. You can see that the nice thing about this is these are identical screens. One's 12 needle, one's 15 needle, but they work identically. So if you know one Happy machine, you actually know the others. And this even translates up to our larger multi-heads, and even on down to the smaller HC701 Journey machine too. So the commonality with the family makes it very, very easy and user-friendly for people who are new to embroidery. And part of this, behind all of this, is a TexMac experience where if you're buying through TexMac or any of its authorized dealers, you have a great support system for the lifetime that you own the machine that helps you at any stage in your business cycle or your career in sewing, helps you work these machines into whatever you're trying to accomplish with them. So these are the big differences. And finally, one more thing that you want to, a lot of people think about is also the size and the portability. As we mentioned, the Voyager machine is only 88 pounds and only requires this 17 by 11 inch footprint. All this area in front of the table is just isn't necessary, so you can have very, very large items hanging in front of it. So a lot of capability in a very, very small compact package. Whereas if you're looking more for raw production, non-stop 24-hour production, this HED 1501 is a little bit heavier at 233 pounds, a little bit less portable, but it'll crank out so much more embroidery for you, or at least help you accomplish much larger projects that much more easily. So hopefully, if you're looking for a Happy embroidery machine, either one of these two can possibly fit your embroidery machine needs. So thanks for listening.
HC701 Journey to show a typical embroidery job, again from the ground up. So first thing we'll do is with the Stitch and Sew software, I'm going to talk about a typical job. So we'll launch the Stitch and Sew software here, just to show you a job again from the ground up. So let's say it's typical, maybe the customer is looking for a logo that maybe some basic text, and they want to go ahead and monogram on, run a monogram on something to personalize it. So here's your Stitch and Sew program, and the way the program's laid out is you're in digitizing, lettering, or editing mode. So if you want to do a quick monogram or customization, just click on lettering. It's basically just typesetting. So you have a number of alphabets that are available to you, 72 to 100 depending, plus your Windows fonts. And I would recommend that you control which which you present to your customers. Think about the big choices here so that you can offer the best choices for your customer. And what we'll do is we'll type something out here. So let's say Joe's Garage. And maybe we'll put this, maybe not such a collegiate font here, but you can see how many choices you've got here. And you can see the little preview so you can see what you're going to get here. And maybe you want to put that above the pocket or something. It's a very common application. And going from left to right, it's pretty easy. You type your font, or type your text, choose your font. Pick the height. You can operate in inches or in millimeters. That's a ½ inch. Let's say you want it to be 3/4 inch, so 0.75. Enter. And then that means that what you typed here is going to be exactly 3/4 inch across. And if you need a reference here, you can always view your ruler here. And you can see that if I move this over, you can see that the window here is exactly 3/4 inches. So going from left to right, you can boldface, italicize that if you want to, do different effects like put letters on an arc and everything. So we're just going to make this straight across, and we'll pick a color. Let's say they want that in red, so let's go and click a red color and hit OK. And finally, fill that in with stitching. Now, we We can hit this button. If we want to take that to a different level, you can actually go into your embroidery settings, which is, let me get that window up here. It's a quick flyout here that lets you handle the embroidery part of the type setting here. And you can pick what kind of garments you're going to set that on. So you got all kinds of presets. Let's say that this is going to be on a golf shirt. So we'll go to polo style. And there are typically two types: jersey knit, which is your real smooth, softer knit, and then piqué knit, which is also soft, but you've got that waffle cut. So what you're doing is if you pick the type of fabric or garment, then Stitch and Sew will do all kinds of things to the lettering or whatever you're creating to make it sew out better for that type of fabric. And then after that, it's a matter of just hitting this button, which just generates the stitches, and we're pretty much done. So the last thing I would do is go ahead and center it up. So I go to Design, Center Design. We're basically ready to go. So now this is at 3/4 inches. That's going to be pretty big. You can see that 6 to 7 inches. I want to go ahead and shrink this down, and actually in the meantime show how the program works. So we're at 6,300 stitches. Now what's important about that is that the number of stitches in your design reflects the runtime and your productivity. So 6,000 stitches, and when I teach in class how that works is I multiply the number of thousands times 2, and that gives you a nice rule of thumb for how many minutes it's going to take for this job to run. So if it's 6,000 stitches, then you want to allow yourself about 12 minutes to sew it. Now on most machines, you're actually going to sew much faster than that, but this gives you time to make mistakes, hesitations, and then actual embroiderers often are able to get away with what that effectively means is a 500 stitch a minute sew time, especially with the Journey machine's 1,000 stitch per minute max speed. You can easily beat that. So I'm going to get around. That big stitch time by shrinking it down to my typical 1/2 inch, and I can either do it this way, or I'll escape. Here's a faster way of doing it. Let's edit that and go into my click one of the letters here. I'm actually going to without having to retype anything. There's my 3/4 inch. I'll type 1/2 inch, 0.5, hit enter, and then stitch it. And you can see that we'll go from 6,300 to 4,600 stitches, and now we know that's exactly a 1/2 inch. So, and we're now, instead of 12 minutes, we're down to 8 minutes. And not only that, but we're also down to, you can see just glancing at about 5 inches across, which is pretty, which is a pretty typical, typical size, especially for less chest. Now, if you want to, you can also see how well it's going to fit in the hoop. I'm going to view and show a 15-centimeter round hoop. And you can see, oh, okay, this is my 15, which is what we have on the machine now. So I'm just going to shrink that even more. Now, of course, you can sew larger and just use a larger hoop for the machine. And then I'm going to go and center that up. I'm going to go to Design and then Center Design. And that centers it, and you can actually see that we're let me try that again. Design, Center Design. And you can actually see that's really centered in the hoop. So that's the last move that we do. Now that we're set, I'm going to go to File, Save the Design As. And I want to go and put it onto my removable disk, which is the thumb drive. I'll just call it Joe's. DST file is your typical format. So now I'm going to go ahead and take this design out. And let's go ahead and swap to the live view. And I've got this now on my thumb drive here. So we'll take this over. Kind of walking over to the machine. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put this into the thumb drive port. There's 2 of them on the right side of the control panel, and kind of zoom in. What I want to do is here's your main sewing screen that always shows you what's going on, your stitch number, the design, and we want to go ahead and replace this with what we just put onto the thumb drive. So go to my main menu, and I want to read from my stick here, which is this button. We'll choose the USB stick, and we'll find it. We called it again Joe's. So
bunch of designs all at once, so it just loaded the one that you're using. So we waited for that to beep. That was pretty quick. It was a pretty simple design. And then going back to the main screen, all I have to do is tell it what color. It's going to ask me what color. So I want to tell it red. So I'll pick red. And then once I've done with that, I just want to make sure it's going to fit. Again, just a quick double check. You've got a picture of the food here. We zoom in, and you can see that it will sew out the middle. But if you ever want to change that, I can go into the button next to my hoop, and you can either choose a different hoop, or you've got arrow keys to actually move that around. And you can see that the outline of the design moves around animated, so you can see exactly where it's going to sew on that part of the garment. I just want to go in the center, so I'm just going to hit a button here. Stitch and Sew made it so automatically in the center, but just to give you an idea of those options. Right, so going back to my home screen, I'm pretty much ready to go. So zooming out here, let's go to the 15-centimeter piece that we've been talking about here. And the machine holds the hoop between an inner and an outer ring, and basically it's just a matter of having some flat level space. And you take your stabilizer, which you buy in bulk, slide that inside your garment, and I've got representing the garment a second piece of stabilizer. So what I've got is my outer ring with my stabilizer sliding that underneath the garment, lining that up, and then basically just sandwiching them together with the inner ring and the arms, which all come with a machine. And then we'll go ahead and throw that onto the machine here. And positioning the pins on either side of the arms will lock that in place so well that won't come loose. So a real stable machine, even if you're sewing a heavier garment. You can trace this, so we're pretty confident it's going to work. As you can see well looking up here with the camera, we actually have a laser trace we got that will actually show me where it's going to fall. If you actually want to trace it, you can actually go to hit the trace button. With the laser position marker, you can see exactly where that's going to be. Now when we're ready to start, you can see that's not going to hit the hoop wall. You can actually position very accurately. So once we're done, we can just basically hit start. So again, so you can see the process from start to finish. I'm going to hit start over here, green button, and you can see the machine now sew the design out in high speed at 1,060 meters. Go ahead and zoom in here so we can see the sewing progress of that design as well. And you can program the machine to actually trim between letters if you want to, so you don't have to connect and stitch. Or if you want, you can tell it not to, but you can see all that supporting stitching that automatically got added on with the software, and that makes it easy so you don't have to worry about that when you're going from garment to garment.
Hey, Renee? Renee, the video is black, and I can't hear you.
put in a design from the ground up. We've just created a design in Stitch and Sew called Joe's Garage. So a simple text file, but gives you the whole idea of the whole process from start to finish. So we loaded that onto a USB thumb drive, and there's a couple of USB ports to the side of the machine here on the right. So I can load it into either one, and I'll just pick the top one. It doesn't really matter. And again, starting from scratch, what I want to do is go ahead and read the design in. So what you're seeing here is the main sewing screen, or what's called the drive screen, and that shows you the current picture, which is a little flower here. You could choose better colors, of course, but that's how whoever left it set it up. But anyway, from here, we're going to load in a different design. So I'm going to go to my main menu. Just in the bottom right corner, here's my little navigation button. It lets me go to other screens. And I just want to read from my USB thumb drive. It reads any designs that are on there in different formats. So this one's in DST, and this is called Joe's Garage, or Joe's. I just called it Joe's. Reads it in. We can either read in one at a time, or we can hit a button that will read them all in at once. We'll just do one, and I'll escape back out to the main screen. And now that I've got it loaded in, it's going to ask what color do you want to make it. It shows this one color design. If there were more colors, I'd see several spools of thread, and I can assign a spool number to either one, each of them. You can have up to 99 colors in the design. In this case, it's just one, so we'll just pick that one. And the button next to the spool is where you pick the color. And you can see on the Journey machine, I've got one of 7 colors. I'll pick the spool that has the red thread on it, and that assigns it the spool number. And then I'm going to hit my home button again, the same button for navigating around. That takes me right back to my sewing screen. It shows my design here, and then for some reason it doesn't look centered, and that could be because of the digitizing and the setup. We're using this round 15-centimeter hoop, which you can see is what this looks like here. We've got the gray wall of the hoop, just like the real one. And then we also have a red inner line here that actually shows the safety margin of the hoop. And you can see that it's not quite aligned. So just to give you an example here, all we have to do is hit this button if you want to realign it. And you can either move that around within the sewing field by using the arrow keys. And you can see as I move that, the design moves around. Or I can actually tap and the design jumps.
Oh, hold it, Renee. The video's frozen.
Okay, hang on. All right, so let's go ahead and reload that again. Just to okay, did we actually see the video? So did the video never start, guys?